Welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars 2026 Smart Play All-in-One Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. It's set number 75421 with 473 pieces and a retail price of $70, which I would argue isn't as bad as everyone's saying because when I was a kid, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter was also $70. It just so happened to include 3 more TIE Fighters for that price though. This set is going to be my first experience with the Smart Brick, and I kind of assume that for many other people and kids out there because this is going to be the cheapest buy-in price of a LEGO Smart Play set that does include the Smart Brick, the other 2 options being the $90 X-Wing and $160 Final Duel. So seeing as it is an all-in-one set, on the box it does show that it includes the Smart Brick along with the Smart Tag and Smart Darth Vader, not to be confused with Dumb Darth Vader. And on the back of the box, I don't know why they don't show it on the front, but it does also include the charger for the Smart Brick. Now at a glance, you can tell the difference very easily between the all-in-one and the compatible sets, as the all-in-one sets have this beautiful box art with a translucent Lego plate on the end of the box that I think looks great. You compare that, of course, to the Falcon compatible box, and it's just not as fancy feeling as the all-in-one box, so I do like that difference there. The box art for the TIE otherwise is quite simple, with Yavin and a Death Star in the background. You've got your small little side build, and the Rebel Fleet Trooper, the non-smart minifigure in the set, is separated far away from the smart minifig that is included in the set, so you can't get them confused. The back of the box advertises this to be screen-free play and shows off a bunch of the functions that this set is going to have around the Smart Brick. Now when it comes to unboxing this set, it's a little bit different than your standard experience with the compatible sets that just had like the flap on the side for the Falcon. This one has an entire lid on top with like 8 different tape seals. So all the tape seals are cut now and the lid just pops off like that. Okay. That is a bit of a unique presentation. So the Smart Brick is integrated into the box with like a stripe of white here, and looks like you could pull it out if you want, but it's just a brick on its own. All right, it's not that heavy. It's a little heavier than a normal brick would be, certainly. It's not even in a bag, so it's got a little dust on it. Doesn't really present the cleanest, I guess, but it's a cool integration into the packaging, so I'll give them that. It looks like we've also got the Smart Charger in a white box here, which is kind of what I expected. And this is actually pretty nice, all right. All yellow, of course, with the little pad to charge the brick. It's not that heavy. It feels, cheap and light, so I guess to be expected. And then we've got a USB-A to USB-C cable here, which, again, yellow matches, pretty nice. But anyway, what's not included in the box here is the actual charging brick. So you still have no way to supply this with power as it comes in the box. You will have to have your own charging brick or computer to plug this into, or I believe LEGO said they will sell their own charging brick separately. So, thank you, Apple, for that idea, I guess, giving it to LEGO. But those are the Smart Brick accessories included in the box, and then everything else looks like normal numbered bags. So you're gonna get 5 numbered bags here, and then your instruction manual is in this thing. Oh wow, this is quite a bit different than the compatible set. So it's got its own guide for Smart Play. Wow, all right, let's take a flip through this. So my plan is to do a wave overview of all the LEGO Star Wars Smart Play sets, and I think in that video, okay, this is a bunch of regulatory, oh my goodness. Oh my, this is not what I thought it, oh wow. All right, so it's just a bunch of like, don't throw this away or it'll destroy the environment text. It's not much of a... The only guide, wow. So this is what I would consider the guide. It looks like the charging time is going to be 2 hours to get a full charge. And from what they said, continuous play is going to be 45 minutes of battery life. So not a great ratio there, but there is also an app, which as of the recording of this video isn't live on the App Store. So that'll be something I'll save for the future when I do a wave overview of all the Smart Play sets. And I'll, maybe go through the basics of how to use the Smart Brick in a video like that, as opposed to a set review like this. But it looks like bags 1, 2, 3, and 4 here are going to be for Vader's TIE Fighter. And let's see, maybe something special in the back, showing kind of what you can do with the Smart Brick and Vader's TIE Fighter. Not a lot, really. It's just a couple pages showing that off. That's it. Maybe a little something more at the back of the Yavin build here. So yeah, it looks like at the back of this, they go through a lot more of the functionality with the side builds and Vader's TIE Fighter. So we'll try to go through all these, of course, in the review. Shows off some of the other Smart Play sets that you can buy, as well as the Smart Play compatible sets. All these I'll have reviews of on my channel, and that's it. So let's build this up. We'll take a look at the figs, and I'm excited. It is my first experience with this little thing here. We'll get the boring figure out of the way first, and the Rebel Fleet Trooper, which we've seen this exact variant in previous LEGO Star Wars sets, so nothing exciting or new here, and he definitely still needed some dual-molded legs. That aside, it's a nice enough figure. The more interesting figure in this set is the Smart Darth Vader, and oh my god, What the heck were they thinking cutting the cape in half? It looks so awkward. It looks worse than I thought it would, frankly. It looks really, really dumb, and we'll just leave it at that for now. One side of the figure has the ugly production numbers and copyright info. The back of the figure, if you flip up that tiny cape, has that Smart Play minifig logo so that you know it's a Smart Play minifig, but why do you need it there if the cape covers it up anyway? And then on the other side of the torso, you've got the trash can. I love that these figures have trash cans on them. It's so funny. Otherwise, though, it is a normal Darth Vader minifig with arm printing. It's got a nice face underneath with the red lightsaber. It's got all the other bells and whistles that your higher quality Darth Vaders would have. It just has a bunch of bad compromises and design ideas. So it's probably the worst Darth Vader we've seen in a long time, if not ever, frankly. Like, it just has to be the worst one ever, right? Because it's got terrible printing and the half cape, right? Like, it's probably the worst one ever. So this Darth Vader, pretty brutal. And frankly, only 2 minifigs in this Vader's TIE Fighter at $70 is disappointing. I was thinking we'd see Tarkin or someone from the Death Star, but no, just a lonely Rebel Fleet Trooper and Darth Vader. He doesn't stand a chance. Y'all really thought I was going to leave you hanging like that. Of course, we're going to check out Darth Vader with his smart brick lines. Iconic lines such as, "I am your father," or "I find your lack of faith disturbing." So all you have to do, make sure that smart brick is awake. Come on. Shake it so I know it's awake there, and we are gonna bring him close to it. And again, it's a smart brick that is actually making the noise. There's little holes on the top of the brick that allow the sound to come out, and that's all the way around, which is actually pretty neat. So good integration of the sound there. But anyway, let's hear those famous quotes from Darth Vader. So let's bring him in range and hear what it does. All right, so the breathing. It's, I mean, recognizable as a Darth Vader type of breathing, but it really sounds like crap, doesn't it? Of course, it doesn't stop there, so let's hear him actually speak those lines. Yeah, that's what he does. There's a few different variations of that, but it's all basically the same. Oh, the breathing again. I think the order is randomized, but I'm not entirely sure how it chooses what sound to make for talking like this. See, breathing again. And some talking. And just for reference, other characters will have a different tone than Vader, so Vader's a bit of a deeper tone here again, versus Luke Skywalker, bit brighter. So Darth Vader is unique, it just doesn't make actual Darth Vader quotes, which at the end of the day is what I think people were hoping this smart brick would do, but it ultimately cannot, I think in its current form, do anything close to that. Otherwise they would have it doing that, right? The technology that they've used just isn't there. It's just not good enough. Now it does make one more sound with Vader when you put him in the TIE Fighter that I think is pretty cool, so I'll show you that when we get there, but yeah, that's Darth Vader and the smart brick. Pretty brutal. I remember the first time I saw this set, I looked at it and thought things might not be so bad with these Smart Play sets, and especially with Vader's TIE Fighter. From certain angles, this thing looks fantastic, and it does have some really nice aspects, like the printed windscreen piece. It's got these nice curved edges to the wings that I think are a massive upgrade over any prior design, and then there's a lot of stuff that's a lot worse, like the completely open back, which thankfully this set does, of course, include the smart brick, and that's intended to be there most of the time, so it makes a little bit more sense that the back on this one is open compared to some other sets that don't include the smart brick, but still, it looks horrible if you don't have the smart brick there. It still looks horrible with the smart brick, let's be honest, we'll get to that. But this thing actually can look decent from some angles, right? Like, you can make it look good. The problem is, we're going to compare this here to the 2016 Vader's TIE Fighter, and everything just falls apart. Like I said, there's positive aspects of the design, but the size cannot be ignored. This thing is tiny. I thought it was the same size as this one. I was shocked when I finished putting it together and put it next to this one, and I was like, there's no way. I've been bamboozled. It looks so much bigger on the box. And usually I feel I'm pretty good at gauging the size of Lego Star Wars sets, but in this case, I got, and you can see from every angle here, it is smaller. It's a little dead-on shot, looks a little bit worse, not as contoured around the front, I would say. A lot more just all light gray versus the dark gray on the 2016 model that just gives it a little more color, but maybe the light gray might be better, more accurate. I didn't really look into that stuff for the smart brick sets, gonna be honest. Another big loss is the lack of any detail on this newer smart play set on top of the TIE Fighter. It's just really sad to see it be completely blank, but on almost every, if not every TIE Fighter we've ever had, we had a printed panel on top of here that looks super nice, and now we just get nothing, and it's really sad. There's one nice printed 2x4 on the side of the TIE Fighter that adds good detail, but one of mine came misprinted with some of the print just wiped away, basically. It looks really sorry on one side of the TIE fighter. Now, of course, with Vader's tie, this is the iconic standard look, but the wings can fold out if you really want to, and I'm sure little kids might play with something like this. So it kind of actually looks like the Moff Gideon TIE fighter all of a sudden. So it could be pretty cool as like an alternate mock or idea for people to do something like that. But honestly, of course, it's going to look best in its standard orientation. Here's a quick look at the bottom where there's just not a whole lot going on, and let's dive into that cockpit and see how Darth Vader fits inside. So one more thing I find kind of cool and nostalgic about the front of the TIE fighter is the use of red studs instead of like stud shooters or spring-loaded missiles like we see on a lot of modern sets. I just feel like that's a classic feel for a Lego Star Wars TIE fighter. But anyway, to get into the cockpit, you just drop this down, and there are 4 studs for Darth Vader to sit on. I assume they did 4 because usually they'll do 2, so it's easier to lift the figure out, but 4 so the figure doesn't fall out, like, because you're going to be roughhousing with this, flying it around, and so 4 is going to keep him in place. So we've got our short-caped Vader, and he will just sit right in there, just like that. Pretty straightforward. And actually looks pretty cool in there. I actually do like the red around him. It really makes Darth Vader pop inside the cockpit. I actually like that. It looks kind of cool. So we'll close that up. There's Darth Vader inside. Of course, always going to be sick inside of any of his TIE fighters. There are some small gaps on top here, which you don't really see on the other models. However, does it really matter when the entire back is going to be a gap? So that's what he looks like in there. And it is kind of cool to get the viewpoint of Vader from the inside when you look through this thing. So it's at least got a little silver lining there. But there's the large section on the back, the red area, which is where you're going to put the smart brick with the Vader's TIE Fighter smart tile so that the smart brick knows what sounds to make. And boy, are those sounds bad, so let's get into that. So all we have to do is take our smart brick and place it on top of the Darth Vader smart tile. That'll tell it what ship it's in. So it immediately begins flashing. That flashing won't stop as long as it's on that tile. It is trying to sense the color that might come in between it and the black piece here. And so in this case, of course, it's going to be red. And so when it sees red, in this case, it's going to make the blaster noise, which is a really annoying, bad noise. It sounds like a Chinese knockoff toy. Like, it's just not good. Like, if it sounded like the actual TIE fighter, it would be crazy cool, but it's just not that. Now, if I take the Smart Vader and place him in the cockpit while the Smart Brick is there, it'll usually play us a special tune. And, of course, it lit up red while doing so. It's like an 8-bit Imperial... Oh, there it goes again. 8-bit Imperial March. Pretty cool. Very fun. It's probably the best sound this Smart Brick makes within this set. I actually really like it. And if all the sounds were that fun and creative, I feel like I could get more behind it, but the rest of it's like mumblings from Vader, and really, really bad breathing noises. I'm not entirely sure what triggers Vader to start talking and making noises like that. It just happens randomly sometimes to me. Just like that. Now, when you're ready to take flight with Vader's TIE Fighter and the Smart Brick, I think things get fairly fun. Like, it's still going to sound really bad, but at least it's reactive to the way you're flying the TIE Fighter. So we'll take the Smart Brick. This is the activation noise again. Here you go. That's kind of it. Now it's activated. And so as we lift it up, it starts making its flying noise. And it sounds terrible, right? It sounds like you're in a wind tunnel or a tornado. It's just not a good noise at all whatsoever. So I'm not impressed by the noise that it makes, and I'm sure you guys aren't either. Here, I'll put it really close to the camera so you can hear it really well. Isn't that great? Isn't that dandy? But it is quite reactive to the way that you're flying. So like when you turn, it kind of changes its tone. And I do like that. And I think that's cool. My favorite thing about it is probably if you crash land Vader's TIE Fighter and you flip it upside down. Like if this made an authentic TIE Fighter noise as it flew by and it made authentic TIE Fighter blaster noises, it would be absolutely killer. But it does none of those things. And it's $70, and it's tiny, and the Darth Vader is a bad figure. There's a lot of reasons to dislike this. But at its core, the core concept, I would say, of Smart Brick is pretty fun. Like, I could see the value here. but it just sounds so bad. It's so off-putting. The model is pretty sturdy, so as you're flying it around, you really shouldn't have too many major issues with the stability of Vader's TIE Fighter. They've done a good job building it really strongly, so it's, ow, that actually hurt. But it's really something that is well built enough for children to play with and have not break. And that's not to say previous play sets weren't built with that in mind, but this kind of takes it to another level for the stability of the build. It does sacrifice a lot to have that, but it's definitely noticeable that this is going to be a sturdier model than a lot of the previous Darth Vader TIE Fighters. But yeah, that smart brick just sounds horrid in there. Like, I don't want to put it back in and listen to it. I don't think any of us do. Listen to that. At least that's nice. Now, we can't forget our side builds. The Imperial Fueling Station, of course, is going to interact with the Smart Brick, but we'll start with Yavin. This is a nice Yavin-inspired build for a kid's playset. It's got a radar dish. You've got the stud shooters to shoot at Vader's TIE Fighter, as well as a printed control panel on the back. Pretty common piece in LEGO Star Wars. Less common piece here on the other side with that blue control panel. Nice seat as well for your Rebel Fleet Trooper. And yeah, it's a nice enough small Yavin-inspired scenery build. On the other side of things, we do have that Imperial Fueling Station. There's also a printed control panel on there. There's a green hammer and the blue fuel pump. To fuel up the TIE Fighter, you just have to block the light sensor with the color blue here. So that's why the fuel pump is blue, and there goes the... It just plays noises randomly. I really don't get it, but here we go. Fueling up. Sometimes it finishes on its own, but this time we'll remove it. He'll say thank you, and that's it. Show you again. Remove it. Pretty simple, right? Works nicely, and then you can take that green hammer as well and just block that light sensor with the color green. And we've done some repairs. So it's a pretty nice, simple thing. There's only a few things, though, that you seem to be able to do with this. So it's just red, blue, and green, and that's it. If I try pink here, you can see it just doesn't do anything. It's not responding to the color. So it's only red, green, and blue. If you're looking to get into LEGO Star Wars Smart Play, I guess I'd first tell you don't bother, but you may be interested in this set because it is the cheapest one with the Smart Brick, and it looks pretty dang good on the box. Unfortunately, it does not look pretty dang good from a lot of other angles. Now, I just cannot recommend spending $70 on this. If you're 8 years old, 18 years old, 48 years old, it doesn't matter. It's too much money. Of course, if you're a minifig collector, there's nothing here unless you're going to be collecting those trash can minifigures, in which case, of course, you have to have this. This is a key set for that collection. The build is absolutely nothing for people to display. You can do better with the $5 Darth Vader's TIE Fighter polybag that they released earlier this year, but this set is a kid set first and foremost, and frankly, only a kid's set. And that's something you don't get a lot from LEGO Star Wars. Usually sets are very good at being both for kids and adults or teens. This one finds itself squarely in the like 6 to 10-year-old range, and once you hit middle school, this set is not that cool anymore. I just think the sound is so bad that it ruins the entire experience. And I did not consult my local 8-year-old LEGO Star Wars fan before filming this review, but I can't imagine 8-year-olds that like and know Star Wars would find the sound quality to be acceptable. I just can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base there. When I was 8 years old, it was Revenge of the Sith was coming out. My normal purchase was like a $20 set, right? That's what I would go and have the money to buy. Of course, it's been a long time since then, so maybe kids these days have 40 or 50 bucks. I don't know. But like, even then, you're still shy of $70. So that's your get-in price with the Smart Brick, and it's too much, in my opinion. You can actually combine this with the $90 X-Wing and have them do a dogfight, but then you gotta spend $90 more, right? So that's its own crazy thing. But yeah, if I had to rate my experience, I could go like a 3.5 out of 10. There's just so many bad things about this, with a few redeeming qualities here and there about the Vader's TIE Fighter, but ultimately I think this set is a massive disappointment, and frankly, it's worse than I thought it would be. I thought this was bigger. It's so tiny. So let me know your thoughts on the Vader's TIE Fighter Smart Play set down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. You can check out more LEGO Star Wars Smart Play reviews on the end screen now.